Imagine Oracle Arena's roar distilled into a single heartbeat. Now imagine it silenced by the weight of what's about to drop in Dub Nation's off-season saga. Because the biggest question hanging over Golden State right now isn't just about the future. It's about a seismic shift that could rewrite the very DNA of this team. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash-era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. Let's dive headfirst into the swirling maelstrom that is the Jonathan Kaminga situation. Because the off-season winds aren't just blowing, they're swirling into a full-on storm. And the domino that every fan and insider alike is watching with bated breath is, will Kaminga stay in Golden State, or is he setting sail for stranger shores? Now, before we untangle this knot, remember that every time there's CMS-level news on Kaminga, we drop a fresh video here. This saga isn't just another page in the Warriors playbook. It's arguably the biggest story of the NBA offseason itself. So strap in tight as we dissect whispers, reports, and truth as they unfurl. Initially, Brett Siegel of Clutch Points dropped a hint that's been shaking the foundation. Though Miami and Chicago remain in the mix as suitors for Kaminga, the Sacramento Kings have quietly slid into the spotlight like a dark horse, replacing the Brooklyn Nets as the prime landing spot for the explosive forward. Sam Amick of The Athletic lit the first fuse on this talk, reporting Sacramento's interest setting the stage for what feels more and more like a real possibility. Over recent days, those whispers have grown louder, almost tangible, and while Sam Amick initially framed the move to Sacramento as unlikely, fresh intel from Mark Stein's Steinline Substack crystallizes what could be brewing behind the scenes. Sacramento is not only interested, they might be gearing up to offer Malik Monk as a centerpiece in a sign-and-trade deal. Now, take a breath, because this is where the narrative spits sparks. Malik Monk, yes, the shooter with silky handles and a penchant for lighting up the scoreboard at 17 points per game last season, is being dangled as the counterweight for Kaminga, a low-volume three-point shooter who, despite flashes of potential, struggles with decision-making, ball handling, and fits awkwardly into the smooth-running Warriors offense. Some will scoff, but hear this. Monk offers pure instant offense, a much-needed injection of scoring punch in crunch moments where the Dubs have too often bogged down, even as Kaminga put up solid stat lines in playoff battles against the Timberwolves. The math is brutal, though. Monk makes just under $19 million. Kaminga is nowhere near the $36 million annual contract Sacramento presumably wants to attach to him, meaning any deal would require the Warriors to toss in salary filler's buddy. Healed, a beloved presence in the locker room, a Steph and Draymond confidant, could be the sacrificial lamb. Imagine the bittersweet sting of losing Hield, but gaining a vastly more cohesive piece in Monk, who, despite defensive flaws, brings a swiftness and scoring versatility the Warriors desperately need. Would you pull the trigger on this trade? I'm shouting, yes, from the stands. Because this could finally realign Golden State's roster chemistry, more flexibility, more offensive spark, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to stretch defenses in a way Kaminga never quite managed. But as with every Warriors offseason, nothing is simple. Chicago remains a question mark after drafting Noah Vonleh and trading for Isaac Okoro, muddying Kaminga's potential spot in their long-term plans. Miami haunts the edges of this drama like a relentless tide, ready to pounce, yet their return assets don't light up the board and don't inspire confidence in a one-for-one swap. New Orleans sits on the sidelines, perhaps financially hamstrung from making a real move, though the tantalizing possibility of snagging Herb Jones remains a whisper in the wind. As it stands, it feels like the Heat and Kings are the only two suitors with serious engines firing Miami with their cap space. Kings more flexible but complex package involving Monk and possibly more assets. For Golden State, the potential sign and trade execution will be a delicate dance of dollars, exceptions, and roster flexibility, with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception still alive. trade exceptions agile, and second-round picks waiting in the wings to be leveraged while capturing veteran minimum talent to round out the bench. This is not just a roster update. It's a full-court press on the Warriors front office, a chess game where every move sets up the next. And then, just as the Kaminga clouds seem to thicken, another storm brews. Damian Lillard. Yeah, the Dame. Himself, fresh off being waived and stretched by Milwaukee. His $22.5 million salary remains on their books over the next 5 years, but now enters NBA free agency territory with a cloud of uncertainty. Lillard, sideline recovering from a torn Achilles, is not expected to see the floor anytime soon. Rumors swirl that he might not suit up again until the 2025-26 season, possibly post-All-Star break, and at age 34, that's a steep climb back to contending form. Yet here's the twist. League insiders say Golden State, Boston, and the Lakers are among the teams biting at the chance to bring Dame aboard. The Warriors' angle? Picture this. Dame, a native son from Oakland, returning to the Bay Area, rehabbing under the gold standard of Golden State's medical staff, led by Rick Celebrini, legendary for his rehab work across the league while providing the team with a funded roster asset on a bargain deal. Could Golden State wrangle him on a minimum or slightly above minimum contract with potential team or player options that hedge risk yet open the door to a late-season boost? Perhaps during a playoff push? The optics are electric a hometown. Hero reclaiming his narrative chapter alongside Steph, Clay, and Draymond, tying the present to past glories and perhaps building bridges to a new dynasty. But nothing with Dame happens before Kaminga's saga finds resolution. The clock ticks relentlessly. Free agency's prime window narrows every moment Golden State dithers. The cap space evaporates. The sign and trade market vanishes. If the front office stalls too long, the Warriors face a patchwork roster by default, forced to scrape for marginal upgrades instead of decisive improvements. So, where do you stand, Dub Nation? Would you accept Malik Monk for Kaminga with Buddy Hield thrown in? Would you roll the dice for Dame on a vet minimum contract, banking on the comeback and the heart? The stakes couldn't be clearer. This isn't just about swapping players. This is the crucible where championship hopes either thrive or fade. As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, eyes locked on every whisper and leap that might mark the next turn of the tide. But is this the spark that reignites our dynasty, or the crack that fractures our legacy forever? Drop your unfiltered takes in the comments. I'll be right there, heart in hand, riding every wave with you. If your heart just skipped a beat thinking about Steph dropping dimes and dagger threes while the game feels like it's hanging on every breath, then slam those keys and light up the comments, because we're stomping right into the eye of this Warriors all-season storm, and there is no playbook for what's about to unfold. Now listen to this Malik Monk for Kaminga swap, with Buddy Hield as the sacrificial pawn. It's a loaded cannonball, a move that could either blast us toward reconnecting with that unshakable rhythm we all crave or blow apart the fragile chemistry that's been simmering since our last run. Imagine Monk's silky freestyle shot, carving into opposing defenses, coming off screens like a savage predator, but paired with the ever-persistent question, what about his defense? His streaky decision-making? Does he slide into Kerr's motion offense or throw a wrench into the gears that made us Golden State? Meanwhile, Kaminga young, raw, sometimes inconsistent, but the embodiment of potential, a player Kerr clearly sees as a cockspring for the future. How do you weigh raw talent against immediate impact? Buddy Hield, that hard-working locker room glue, the guy who's earned respect and hugs from Steph and Draymond alike, quietly contributing, always. Battle-ready, is he just collateral damage in this chess match? And the implications go beyond just on-court production. There's the soul of the team, the vibe in the locker room, that delicate balance between trusted veterans and hungry young blood that made this franchise a dynasty once, and how getting that chemistry right this summer could be the difference between a playoff bounce back or another. lost season fumbling for identity. But now, toss Damian Lillard into the mix. That's a plot twist with the weight of a hammer. A hometown hero who could return to the Bay on the cheap, but with giant question marks about his health and fit. Dame alongside Curry and Thompson can. You imagine the catapult of star power if his rehab pans out? But here's the catch. Managing his salary, cap footprint will be like walking a tightrope across a canyon of financial constraints and roster spot juggling. If the front office can pull strings to land Lillard without sacrificing the puzzle pieces they need to keep this ship balanced, this could absolutely awaken the arena spirit to levels not seen since those epic We Believe nights before. Our dynastic streak and even the tearful, triumphant moments when Klay came back from injury in 2022 and reminded us all what unbreakable grit looks like. And all the while, the Western Conference continues to morph around the Suns. Nuggets, Mavs, Lakers, and even the surprising Oklahoma City Thunder are stacking firepower and depth like a tidal wave, rushing toward peaks of contention that demand. The Warriors get their roster absolutely correct, or risk slipping into basketball purgatory. Look at Klay's resurgence, anchored by Steph's relentless brilliance, bolstered by Draymond's cerebral defense and playmaking. It's this triumvirate that remains Golden State's heart. But with Kaminga's uncertain fit and Moody and Poole developing, there's a question mark hung over whether these younger guys can rise to the challenge or if the team's title window is starting to slam shut. Every practice, every free agent whisper, every trade rumor intensifies the pressure on Kerr and the front office to deliver, to balance championship pedigree with the hunger of youth, to sculpt a team that isn't just a collection of names, but a fiercely united brotherhood ready to battle in the fiery trenches of the West. And yeah, this season feels like a crossroads between clinging to the residual splendor of our past and staring down the raw uncertainty of a rebuild in disguise. From 5 straight finals appearances to back-to-back championships, and now to this moment of raw reckoning. How did we get here? Is trading Kaminga the pivot that saves us, or the crack that fractures our golden legacy? Does bringing in Monk add the spark plug offense to break through playoff defenses, or do we lose what little flow we've clawed back? And if Dame arrives, a shadow recovering from injury but a spirit fierce as ever, can this reassemble the Warriors into the thunderous finals contenders they once were? As a fan who's lived through it all, the electric buzz of Baron Davis stealing the spotlight in '07, the crusty tears in '22 witnessing Klay's battle back from darkness, and that endless awe watching Steph rewrite what greatness looks like. I'm telling you, this offseason could be the ignition of a new, unshakable force, or it might just whisper the last hurrah of a team caught between eras. It's raw. It's brutal. It's the fight for the soul of Golden State basketball. So now, it's your shot. Give me that unvarnished truth in the comments. What's your take on this high-stakes dance? Is Monk the missing jolt? Is Kaminga the future we can't afford to lose? Can Dame come back and rewrite his story in the city that raised him? No filters, no holding back. I'm heading into the trenches with you. Every fiery opinion counts in this crucible where legends are born or fade away. This is Warriors News Fan Report, where passion and pain fuse into undying loyalty. What's the move, Dub Nation?